Hello, my name is Michaela White. My student number is currently on the screen, and this is my Skill and Sport Assignment 1. In this screencast, I'll be talking about how a performer should perform a split leap in dance. For difficulty, this will be complex due to that there are many decisions about how the movement should be performed, as it should be learned in stages. This is because for a split leap, the stages need to be broken down, therefore the athlete can learn the skill with the correct technique throughout. The environment will be closed due to the movements using a pattern which is set. It won't be affected by the environment due to being inside sport. The split leap also has a beginning and an end, which is obvious to see when performing, and it is paced internally. For pacing, this will be self-paced, as the performer will control the rate of what they will execute the skill. This means some performers may take longer to perform a split leap due to being taller, therefore having longer legs and longer limbs. However, muscular involvement is the accuracy of the movement. For this skill, it will be a growth skill, as it takes large muscle movements to complete the skill, as well as including fundamental movement patterns. This is because they need to include fundamental movement patterns to be able to perform the whole skill, as well as the skills used all the muscles in the body to be able to execute this movement. The continually would be serial, due to that a split leap in dance has elements put together to make a sequence of movements to make a skill a whole movement. This is because a split leap can be broken down into subsections, and then further subsections of the subsections to be able to learn the skill the most effective. Finally, organisation. This is how the skill is organised for the most effective teaching possible. This will be low organisation for the split leap due to being able to split the leap stages into subroutines. Each movement is easily identified separately, therefore making it easier to learn/teach. I think this performer is an autonomous stage due to being able to keep on performing the movement fluidly and with the correct technique multiple times in a row. This is because the way they execute the movement is by using the same characteristics each time, such as straight arms, straight legs, high head, and by landing gracefully. The athlete also uses muscle memory to be able to perform the movement with hardly no errors, as this feels natural to them. There is also emphasis on the tactics and strategies for the movement, and any errors that get detected and then get corrected. The best practice method for this athlete would be a whole method. This method isn't for beginners. This is due to the fact that they are an autonomous learner and they know how to perform the skill with the correct technique and precision which is needed. I chose this method due to the fact that the athlete already knows how to perform the skill, therefore does not need a breakdown of it, and this would be a waste of time. For this specific athlete, I think they would benefit from the verbal guidance of the skill, as they show the skill being controlled as they performed it. As well as the coach would be able to give much better responses or reinforcement due to being able to watch and not have to help their limbs by going through the technique step by step with them, as they already have the split leap skill under control and know the movements. For feedback, the coach would give feedback as the athlete needs it. For example, if the coach just gave 3 things to work on the athlete, they wouldn't give feedback until they've successfully corrected the 3 bits of feedback, as the athlete may become overwhelmed and go into a depressing state of mind, unless they are doing something dangerous. This could be delivered through verbal or visual guidance. For verbal, this could be telling them what they did wrong and For visual, this could be written down on a whiteboard or a piece of paper so they can refer back to it. However, they may benefit from visual guidance, as this goes hand in hand with verbal guidance. For example, they could watch a demonstration of the technique from another athlete or coach if needed. The guidance and practice links to Operate Conditioned by Skinner in 1938 to 1948, which stimulates trial and error learning of the correct response over time using voluntary response. He has done this by putting a rat in a box with a lever. This is due to the fact that the person/animal will learn through the consequences of his own behaviour. In this circumstance, the athlete will learn by performing the skill, hurting themselves, and then trying again. This means that they will perform the skill, realise the behaviour is incorrect, and try again, and hopefully get it successful. This diagram shows a more developed model of the Sharp and Whiting cybernetic model. The display is the environment surrounding the performer, or example, the crowd and noise around the athlete. The reaction then enters the brain to consider before the action is made. This is sensory input. To do this, the performer will take information, uses their sense organs such as audition, proprioception, and vision. The initial data is the original setting/environment. So for my example, the split leaping dance would be a dance studio, so they would feel the rubber/wooden flooring depending on what dance studio. See all the people present, see how much space they have, all of the different noises around the room, where the people are moving, does the performer have enough room to practice a skill, what equipment is around the room, and is it in the way, for example ballet bars, where or how far the performer is going to move/travel to be able to perform the skill. Whereas the sensory organs is what the performer takes in visually and the preparation and what the performer chooses to attend to. For example, in the dance hall, performing a split leap, they would worry about how much space the performer has, how many people are around the room, the different noises around the room, where other people are moving, does the performer have enough room to practice a skill, the equipment around the room, and where they're going to move to. The sensory mechanism is split into 3 phases. Phase 1 is the perceptual mechanism. This sorts the relevant information. Phase 2 is a translatory mechanism, which is one of the informations which have been interpreted. A motor plan will be formed by using past experiences. Finally, phase 3. This is the effector mechanism, which is when the motor program is acted upon. To link this into a split leap and dance, the perceptual mechanism would be how much space there is to perform the movement, where the performers are moving to, and will they hit them, as well as where the specific performer who's practicing the split leap moving to. The translatory mechanism is a step-by-step of how the movement is going to be carried out and how much space the movement is going to need. This is how the motor program is made. This could also use past experiences to make the motor plan, such as an assemble, which is the same movement but landing on 2 feet instead of 1. Finally, the effector mechanism. This would be the impulse sent to the muscles, such as the quadriceps, hamstrings, and abdominals, for the movement to be carried out. The output of this theory would be a physical response, which the body has to process the data through the central mechanism. This would be when the movement starts to make place physically, so the first step of the movement. However, the feedback for the last part of the theory is that it could be extrinsic or extrinsic. This could be going through the knowledge of results. This is how to perform and improve the next time using the knowledge of others, their own feeling of the movement as the autonomous learner, which my demonstration is. The control center controls all of the information which gets moved in or out of the memory and uses the system to control it. The phonological loop helps to produce the memory trace using the auditory information from the senses. The episodic buffer coordinates the hearing, sights and movement of the information from the working memory model to sequence, which are then sent to the long-term memory. The Visio-Spatial Sketchpad stores spatial and visual information. However, feelings and actions get stored into long-term memory to then be charged by the way any information is processed in the near future. The working memory previously mentioned uses the skills trying to be learned and produces a snapshot of this. This will be used in a perceptual mechanism. After the long-term memory, then the memory takes a trace of the skill. This then gets compared to any information stored in the long-term memory already. This will be used in the translatory mechanism. The working memory then gets information sent to the long-term memory, and it is used for the correct situation, in this case learning a new skill of the split leap. To store information, the brain uses association, rewards, mental practice, and breakdown of tasks. After the translatory mechanism, the motor program then gets sent to the effector mechanism, which goes into the muscular system for the skill to be carried out. As previously mentioned, motor plans can be made from the past experiences. For example, if the performer wants to learn how to perform a split leap, and they can use past experiences such as the assemble, which is the same skill but landing on 2 feet instead of 1, to make a new motor plan of how to approach the new/given task. This will help the performer figure out how high to position their arms, how much speed they will need to get the height, and how hard to push off the floor to get a good height to be able to perform the skill.